Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're starting something different, a new series called Am I the Asshole? It's where people share stories about situations where they did something and they're not sure if they were right or wrong. Maybe society thinks they're the bad guy. Maybe their friends turned on them. Maybe they broke an unspoken rule and now everyone's mad. These stories are based on real events from people's lives, inspired by Reddit, where thousands of people ask the same question every day. Am I the asshole? Some of these stories you'll side with the person. Others, you'll think they absolutely deserved what they got. That's the whole point. It's messy, it's real, and there's no clear answer. Same setup as always. Minecraft in the background, stories by the campfire, perfect for background noise while you work, relax, or fall asleep. If you're into this kind of content, hit that like button, drop a comment with your judgment, asshole or not, and subscribe for more episodes every week. Alright, let's get into it. I'm the office food thief, and it's becoming a problem. I work at a large corporation, about 80 people in our office, maybe more. Standard office setup, open floor plan, conference rooms, and a break room with a microwave, coffee machine, and a big double-door fridge. Everyone brings their lunch boxes, labels them, and leaves them there until lunch. Except I live alone, no wife, girlfriend, or even a roommate. In the evenings, I just can't make myself cook after 10 hours at the office and an hour in traffic. At best, it's frozen pizza or instant ramen that I shove into a container and drag to work, pretending it's something edible. About 4 months ago, I forgot my pathetic lunch at home. There was a brutal deadline. I had no time to run to the nearest fast food place. I opened the fridge just to see what people had, and I spotted a container. I don't know what came over me, but I took one of his chicken drumsticks. Just one. Figured no one would even notice. God, it was incredible. Homemade chicken and some honey mustard marinade with a crispy skin. Someone's wife clearly knows her way around a kitchen. My colleague Mark later grumbled in the break room that he probably forgot to pack the second drumstick, and everyone laughed. From that day on, I couldn't stop. I developed a whole strategy. Never take everything, just portions. A couple of rolls from Jessica's sushi box. Half of Tom's sandwich. A few orange slices from Susan's container. A spoonful of pasta here, a piece of lasagna there. I'm like an office ghost. I leave enough so people think they just overestimated their portion or forgot how much they packed. But the worst part is that I became that guy who actively participates in the investigations. When Jennifer from marketing was in tears about someone eating her homemade cheesecake that she spent all Saturday making, I was the first to suggest checking the cameras, which thankfully don't exist there. When Ryan discovered his meatloaf container was empty, I held an entire meeting with suggestions on catching this scumbag. I sympathize, I get outraged, I help look for clues, and that's the most disgusting part. I see their upset faces and keep going. Last week, management announced that if the thief doesn't stop, they'll install a security camera and catch them. The HR manager held a meeting about respecting others' property. People started leaving angry notes on their containers. Someone even suggested getting a lock for the fridge. And yesterday, something happened that still makes my blood run cold. Mark, the same one whose chicken started this whole thing, sat down next to me at lunch and said quietly, "Look, I don't want to make a scene, but if you find out who it is, let me know first." My wife tries so hard to make me lunches because I have health issues and need a special diet. When someone steals my food, I skip a meal, and I feel terrible. I almost choked on my sandwich, which by the way was half from Sarah's lunchbox. Now I'm sitting here realizing I've backed myself into a corner. If I stop suddenly, people will notice the thefts stopped and start analyzing who changed their behavior. If I continue, I'll get caught and it'll be the end of my career. Plus, I now know that Mark actually gets sick when he goes without food. I'm the worst person in this office, and nobody knows it. Every day I come in, smile, participate in the hunt for that bastard, and every time I see the fridge, I'm drawn to it like a magnet. I don't know why I'm writing this. Probably just to confess to someone, because I definitely can't confess to my coworkers. Update. Just saw the facilities manager measuring for the camera placement. Looks like my days as an office rat are numbered. So, are you the asshole? Absolutely. 100%. Look, I get it. You're tired. Cooking sucks after work. But everyone else in that office is just as exhausted, and they still manage to bring their own food. You didn't just steal once in desperation. You've been doing this for 4 months. You developed a system. You participate in meetings to catch yourself. You watched Jennifer cry about her cheesecake and suggested checking cameras you knew didn't exist. That's borderline sociopathic. And Mark, the guy who gets physically sick when he skips meals because of health issues, you stole from him while sitting right next to him, eating his food. That's not just theft, that's cruelty. You're not some hungry Robin Hood. You're making people doubt themselves, waste their weekends cooking, and literally harming someone's health because you can't be bothered to meal preparation. Let's move on to the next story. I'm 25, second year of residency at a city hospital. I work 60, 70 hours a week. I'm constantly studying, and I'm trying to become a good doctor. By objective measures, I'm not some troll. Average height, I hit the gym when I have the energy. I dress fine. But here's the thing that makes me want to dissolve into the floor. I've never been in a relationship. Not once. In high school, I was the quiet nerd who hid inside textbooks instead of going to parties. College wasn't better, pre-med, then med school, then residency. I told myself, later, when I'm a doctor, when I'm stable, when I'm successful, then it'll all click. Now I'm 25, I have the job I thought would fix everything, and nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. Every year it gets harder to even talk to a woman. I used to at least try. Awkward coffee invites, dumb jokes, forcing myself to be normal. Now I can barely make eye contact because my brain instantly goes, "You're 25 and you don't know how to do this." She'll clock you immediately. She'll think you're a loser. Why even try? And the real rot is what this has turned me into. I don't just feel insecure, I feel resentful. I sit there watching normal conversations happen, and I start building this whole bitter story in my head about women like they're a single organism. Not individuals with their own lives, but some jury whose job is to evaluate me and find me guilty. In the residence lounge, I listen to my colleagues talk about their girlfriends, their dates, sex, moving in together. Nurses laugh about their boyfriends. Senior doctors mention wives and kids. I sit there pretending to be buried in paperwork because I have nothing to add. And instead of just feeling lonely like a normal person, I get angry, like I'm being excluded on purpose. It's embarrassing to admit how fast my brain goes from envy to something uglier. Nurse Emily flirts with a surgeon, and it pisses me off. A patient smiles at one of the male residents and thanks him a little longer than necessary, and it pisses me off. I'll catch myself thinking things like, "Of course. They always pick that type," or "Women only want confidence and status," or "If you're not loud and cocky, you don't exist." Sometimes it's not even about me. I'll see a woman laugh at a coworker's joke, and I'll feel this spike of hostility like she's doing it at me. Then I hate myself for having those thoughts, because I know how it sounds. I know it's not rational. I'm literally training in a profession where empathy matters, and meanwhile I'm internally reducing women to stereotypes. Shallow, picky, manipulative, attracted only to the right guys. It's like I'm trying to protect my ego by turning rejection into a moral failing on their part. Like it's their fault for not seeing my potential, instead of my responsibility to actually be a functioning human in relationships. And the worst part is how it feeds itself. The more isolated I feel, the more I generalize. The more I generalize, the harder it is to talk to any woman normally. Because I'm not seeing her, I'm seeing this whole imaginary category I'm already mad at. I'll replay every interaction and interpret neutral things as contempt. I'll hear a woman mention her boyfriend and think, "Must be nice," but in this poisoned, sarcastic way that makes me feel even smaller. I even started thinking about hiring a prostitute just to get it over with, so I'm not that guy anymore. I read sites, looked at reviews, did the whole pathetic research spiral. I never went through with it because I know it wouldn't fix anything. It would just turn my problem into a transaction, and I'd probably walk away feeling emptier, Like I'd proven to myself that the only way I can be close to a woman is by paying her. That isn't what I want. I don't just want sex. I want to feel wanted. I want to feel normal. What scares me is how I'm starting to recognize my own thoughts as a problem, separate from the loneliness. Loneliness is painful, but this bitterness is corrosive. It's making me someone I don't respect. I can feel myself becoming the kind of guy who talks about women like they're prizes or enemies. The kind of guy who thinks he's owed attention because he works hard, because he's nice, because he's suffering. And I don't want to be that person. A couple days ago, it hit me really hard during a normal shift. Nothing dramatic, just this moment where I realized how tight my chest gets around the topic, how much energy I waste on resentment, how much I'm shrinking my own life down to this one humiliating metric. I had this wave of panic and this very clear thought: I need help, not a dating app, not confidence hacks, actual help. So I booked an appointment with a therapist for next week. I don't know what'll come of it. It's humiliating to imagine saying these things out loud to someone. But rationally, I get it. I can't keep letting this build. I don't want to wake up at 30 and realize I've spent my entire 20s becoming bitter at women for not fixing something I never learned to build in myself. Are you the asshole? In my opinion, no. You're standing at the edge, and you can see exactly where that cliff leads. The fact that you recognize it, that you hate what you're becoming, means you haven't fallen. Booking that therapy appointment was the smartest move you've made. Here's what else you need to do. Stop treating relationships like the finish line. You've been waiting to be ready your whole life. You're ready now, not for a girlfriend, but for human connection. Join a climbing gym, a book club, anything where you interact with people as people, not potential partners. And every time you catch yourself thinking, women always do X, stop, reframe it. Women aren't a category, they're individuals just like you. You're 25, you're saving lives, you have self-awareness, and you're taking action. That puts you miles ahead of the guys who stay bitter forever. You're going to be okay. This isn't the end of your story, it's the part where you rewrite it. Next story. Everyone's demanding I pay for the front door, and I don't even remember what happened. So this was 3 weeks ago. We were celebrating Kyle's birthday at his place. Classic backyard barbecue party with beer and whiskey. I showed up after a brutal week at work, was in a good mood, decided to let loose. Not gonna lie, I got absolutely wasted. Last thing I clearly remember is around 10 p.m. we were playing beer pong. After that, total blackout, complete void. I woke up the next morning in someone's car in Kyle's driveway with a brutal hangover and a dozen missed calls from him. Dude, you broke my front door last night. Call me immediately. When I drove over to Kyle's to figure this out, I was floored. His metal front door was literally ripped out of the frame. Lock broken, door frame cracked, one of the hinges completely torn out of the wall with a chunk of concrete still attached. It looked like someone had gone at it with a battering ram. Kyle told me that around 1 a.m. I went out to smoke and the door locked behind me. I tried knocking for about 5 minutes, rang the doorbell, banged on the door. Then, apparently everyone was either asleep or the music was too loud. And this is where I, instead of calling someone, start trying to force the door open. I yank the handle so hard it breaks off. I kick the door. Then I grab a decorative rock from the garden bed and start hammering at the lock until the door gives way. The whole house woke up from the noise. Kyle said when they came downstairs, I was already inside, had thrown the rock on the floor, cracked the tile in the entryway, and just went upstairs to crash on the couch, mumbling something about being cold. Kyle got a quote from a contractor. New metal entrance door with installation, $2,400. And he's demanding I pay all of it. I don't remember any of this. Zero. This event doesn't exist for me. How can I feel guilty about something I don't remember? I didn't make a conscious decision to destroy his door. I was in a state where I couldn't control myself. Technically, it wasn't even me. It was some drunk zombie in my body. Plus, let's be real. If you're throwing a party with unlimited alcohol, you need to understand the risks. I didn't show up planning to destroy anything. Kyle was the one pouring shots, the one encouraging me to keep going. He's the one who locked me outside when the door closed. Why didn't he check that I had my keys or phone? Another thing, he owns his house, makes good money in IT, plus he has homeowner's insurance. I'm renting an apartment and living paycheck to paycheck. $2,400 is catastrophic for me. For him, it's an inconvenience that insurance will cover. I proposed several options. Let him use insurance. We can find a simpler door, not $2,400, maybe $1,000 with installation. I can pay in installments of $200 a month, but not the full amount at once. But Kyle refused everything. Said he doesn't want to mess up his insurance history because of me, that he wants the exact same door as before. It was supposedly special security grade, and he wants all the money within a month. When I said I physically can't come up with that kind of money in a month, Kyle said, then take out a loan or borrow from your parents. That's your problem, not mine. So I told him straight, if he won't compromise, then I don't see any reason to pay at all, because really, I'm the victim here. I was locked outside on a cold night. I could have gotten hypothermia or been mugged. Where was his concern for me as a guest? Half our mutual friends are blowing up my messages with, dude, you destroyed a front door. This is serious, just pay up. But I don't get it. Why is this automatically my fault? I didn't want this. I don't remember it. I wasn't in a state to control my actions. 2 days ago, Kyle posted in our group chat, last chance, either payment by end of week or I'm filing a lawsuit and demanding compensation plus legal fees. That pissed me off. He really wants to financially destroy me over one drunk incident. I replied that if he sues, I'll argue that he contributed to my intoxication and failed to ensure guest safety. I have witnesses that he was pouring drinks for me when I was already drunk. Maybe a judge will consider the fault mutual. Now the chat's exploded. Some people support me. The door locked. What was he supposed to do? Others are calling me a piece of work. You trashed his house and now you're threatening to sue? I just don't understand. Am I really obligated to shell out over $2,000 for something that happened when I couldn't be responsible for myself? If I remembered, maybe I'd feel guilty. But right now, it's just some story people told me. And yeah, maybe I should drink less, but that's my choice in my life. I'm not going bankrupt over one bad night, especially when the homeowner won't even discuss reasonable solutions. Are you the asshole, in my opinion? Yes, you are. Look, I get it. You don't remember what happened. Blackouts are disorienting, and it's hard to feel guilty about something that doesn't exist in your memory. But here's the reality. Being drunk doesn't erase responsibility. You chose to drink that much. What happened after is still your doing. There were witnesses. There's evidence. You broke a $2,400 door with a rock instead of calling someone or waiting outside. That's on you, not Kyle. I understand $2,400 is a lot of money for you, and that's tough. But you broke it, so you need to pay for it. If Kyle won't accept installments, maybe get your friends involved to mediate, or see if he'll meet you halfway. But threatening to countersue because he contributed to your intoxication? That's not going to work, and it makes you look worse. Bottom line, you damaged someone's property. Own it, pay for it, and maybe reconsider how much you drink next time. The last story. I'm 28, getting married in 2 weeks, and I'm at the center of a family scandal that's threatening to blow up everything. I need outside opinions because I can't tell anymore if I'm right or if I'm actually being a complete selfish asshole. My parents divorced when I was 4. My father left for another woman, moved to a different state, and just vanished from my life. Didn't call on birthdays, didn't send cards, barely paid child support. My mom spent years in court trying to get anything out of him. I essentially grew up without a father. When I was 7, my mom met Dan. He didn't try to replace my dad immediately, but gradually he became exactly that. He taught me to ride a bike, went to every school event, sat with me doing math homework until midnight, took me fishing. When I was 10, he officially adopted me. My biological father didn't even object, just signed the papers. Dan is my dad, period. He was there when I won competitions, when I bombed exams, when I got my heart broken for the first time. He paid for my college, helped with my first rental, taught me everything I know about being a man. A year ago, my biological father, Robert, messaged me on social media. Long message about how he'd reevaluated his life, regrets the past, wants to rebuild our relationship. I thought about it for a long time and agreed to meet. We've met maybe 5 times this past year. Awkward coffee dates where he talked about his new family. He has 2 more kids he apparently takes care of just fine. His job, tried asking about my life. I was polite but distant. Can't say I felt a connection. To me, he was just some stranger I happened to share DNA with. When my fiancée Emily and I were sending out invitations, the choice was obvious. Dan would walk me down the aisle, he'd give a toast at the reception, he'd sit in the front row. I didn't put Robert on the list. 3 weeks ago, my aunt on my father's side, who I barely talked to by the way, called asking when Robert would get his invitation. I honestly answered, never, because he's not invited. All hell broke loose. Robert called me in tears, said he's trying to make things right, that he deserves a second chance, that I'm his only son from his first marriage, and the wedding is a chance to reunite the family. That he'd already told all his relatives about the invitation, which didn't exist, and now everyone's asking for details. His family flooded me with messages. You're breaking his heart. He's changed. Give him a chance. He's your father. Blood matters. You're punishing him for the past. Even my grandmother, my mom's mom, called and said I need to be gracious and that both fathers should be at the wedding. I explained the same thing to everyone. Robert wasn't my father for 24 years. He didn't wipe my tears, didn't teach me to shave, didn't sit in the hospital when I broke my leg. Dan did all of that. The wedding is my day, and Emily's, of course, and I want the people who actually matter to me there. Robert isn't one of those people. We've met 5 times in a year. 5 awkward meetings don't outweigh 24 years of absence. I'm not doing this out of spite. I don't want to humiliate him. I just don't feel anything for him. And I don't want to pretend at my own wedding. Robert proposed a compromise. Let him just be among the guests, not in the front row, not walking me down the aisle. Just present. At least at the ceremony, you don't have to invite me to the reception. But I don't want to, because if he's there, the whole day will turn into drama. Everyone will whisper, compare him to Dan, ask awkward questions. Plus, Dan will feel uncomfortable, even though he'll never admit it. Emily's on my side, but her parents are hinting that I'm creating a family rift, and that forgiveness is the Christian thing to do. My best friend and best man said straight up, dude, he's your biological father. Maybe actually give him a chance? Yesterday, Robert sent a long letter explaining that the divorce was hard, that he was young and couldn't handle it, that he regrets it every day. Ended with, if you don't let me come to the wedding, I'll understand you'll never forgive me and I won't bother you again. I'm starting to doubt myself, not because I've changed my mind, but because I'm exhausted from the pressure. Maybe it's easier to just invite him and close this chapter, but then it feels like I'm betraying myself and my principles. Emily says, this is your decision and I'll support whatever you choose. But think about it. Do you want to look back on your wedding in 10 years and regret your choice? Whichever one it is? And I honestly don't know. If I invite him, I'm doing it under pressure, not from the heart. If I don't invite him, I'm the heartless son who didn't give his father a second chance. Are you the asshole? In my opinion, no. Not even close. This is your wedding, not Robert's redemption arc. Not your aunt's family reunion, not a chance for him to feel better about abandoning you for 24 years. You don't owe Robert forgiveness just because he finally decided to feel guilty. You don't owe him a second chance at your wedding. And you definitely don't owe him an invitation because his family is pressuring you. If you invite him, it should be because you want him there, not because you're exhausted from guilt trips. And right now, you don't want him there. That's valid. That's enough. Stop listening to everyone else. This isn't about being gracious or Christian or forgiving. It's about who you want standing beside you on one of the biggest days of your life. And that person is Dan. Invite the people who were there for you. Robert wasn't one of them. All right, that's it for today's episode. Drop a comment with your verdict on any of these stories. I want to know if you agreed with me or if you think I'm completely wrong. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more AITA stories every week. See you in the next one.